I need. How you my dog and you subbing me? If I ain't sex for you, then don't you come for me. No DMX, what they really want from me.
Up, y'all? Welcome to Unfiltered and Raw with your girl Michele with 1L. Welcome back to another week. So this week we're picking up when we left off last week, and for our 3-part series on relationships. So this week we're going to be talking about intimacy in relationships. And we lost one of our guests, but she'll be back. There she is. Hey, we lost you. Turn your camera off.
Yeah.
So before we get into the show, I just want to say, give a shout out to Shock G. We lost another one from Digital Underground. So rest in peace to Shock G. And we're going to welcome our guests, Justice and Karen, back to the show. Welcome, guys. Thank you for being here again today.
Thank you.
So, guys, how was your week?
I had a good week. I took some time off the end of last week and went to Hilton Head and spent the weekend there. So I refreshed and rejuvenated. So I had a good week. I can't complain.
Awesome. Justice, what about you?
I can't complain either. It's business as usual for me. It's teaching my kids and just rolling on. So It's been good for me.
Awesome. Me too. I had a good week, long weekend, productive weekend, interesting weekend. But it's a good weekend nonetheless. I'm not going to complain about a thing because it don't man. Don't nobody want to hear it, and it don't matter. It ain't gonna make a difference because what's done is done and it's over. So we're gonna move on to the next thing. So
you can start over.
Right? Because I don't even feel the need to complain about a lot of things because complaining don't do nothing but make you miserable, and don't nobody want to hear that shit.
Right.
So who you complaining to?
You. Sometimes when I call you up, you guys.
Well, that's different. That's different. Well, because now you know what? Sometimes you do need to vent,
right?
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily a complaining thing, but if it's always, I know we probably all know people that all they do is complain.
Mm-hmm.
And every time they call you, all they're doing is calling you to complain.
I'm not a therapist. I do not have a PhD in that.
Right. So venting every now and again because, some shit done popped off and you just want to get something off your chest. I see nothing wrong with that. A good venting session ain't hurt nobody. Right. But to me, as long as you vent, let's get to the solution. And not keep talking about the same thing. Like if you still coming and you're venting to me about the same shit next week, now I'm gonna be like, all right, what what you doing?
What happened from last week to this week? What did you do to fix, change, or whatever?
Or do anything, right? Because what the hell? So yeah, I'm always about change, and I'm solution. Let's fix the problem, because I always feel like every problem has a solution. That's just the way
I feel that too, and I think I get backlash for that because I'm just let's do something different. It doesn't have to be the right thing, even if it fails. Let's just do it differently this next time, and if that doesn't work, then we're going to do it different the next time. We'll see it again. I know that whatever scenario I'm facing, I'm going to face it again. And I'm just going to take a different approach every time. If this one didn't work, okay, let's do something else.
Let's do something different.
When it comes to therapy, they go to school and they get all their degrees and everything, but what they really need to do is just let you talk. And you just need somebody that you can call and ramble to. And that a lot of times you have to work your own shit out. But you need that space to ramble and get through and get everything out. And a lot of times you get cut off by people, the listener, trying to fast forward the situation.
That's true.
Let them ramble. And they get a lot of money to let you sit there and ramble. And you're asking a lot of your friends, but that's what it is, being able to get it out. And if you can talk to somebody, great. I take it to my paper. I wrote a real prolific little, I don't know what it is, poem or rap. I don't know. I wrote some shit down when about the stabbing that happened, and the girl that died that was, had the knife, and I just wrote some shit, and that's that's my therapy. I write
That's me
something,
too.
Cool.
and I revisit it later, and
Yeah, that's me too.
I
Writing
can
is
put
my
it somewhere
therapy.
else.
Yeah, writing is my therapy as well. I will just stop, drop, and write in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes you just have to get whatever's in you out.
Yeah.
Because when I feel like, okay, I'm starting to get a little stressed or I'm starting to get a little depressed, and sometimes you don't want to bend somebody's ear with your shit. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? You don't always want to be like, I don't feel like bothering with that, because people deal with their own shit. And my people always tell me I'm the type of person that sometimes I don't like to overshare. So I kind of go to myself or stay to myself, and I'll write. And then people like, oh, you can talk to me and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I know that I can talk to you, but sometimes it's just not the same.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like my pen and my paper is listening to every damn thing I'm saying.
Yeah.
And
I'm not interrupted with my paper.
uninterrupted.
Mm-hmm.
It's not
Yeah.
going to
No
talk back.
judgment.
It's not going to judge me. It's not going to tell me what I should be doing or shouldn't be doing. It's not going to do anything. It's just going to let me do what I need to do to get it out. People say that they're not that they're there for you, but sometimes they're not there for you in the way that you need them to be,
And
which
they
is
don't
also
even
fine.
know. Yeah.
Which is also
And
fine.
sometimes I don't even know what it is, right? I can go into myself. Yeah, I know I can call you and talk to you, but sometimes I can't put the finger on what the problem is. So I just need to spend some time with myself in order to, get there, because I think I do some bouts of kind of mild depression, and some things will really set me off, but I can't pinpoint what it is exactly. So I don't want to talk to somebody about it because I can't tell you what the problem is.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Because then sometimes they just want to know, okay, well, what's wrong with you? I don't know. You know? I just don't know. Something's wrong.
It's all good. Cleansing time with yourself, whatever you need to do to get yourself through. I mean, it's a lot going on. And as long as you can identify what gets you over the hump and what makes you feel good, and you do that, I think it's all good.
I agree. I totally agree. So last week we started the series off talking about communication, and I thought that was such a dope conversation that we had last week. So this week we're talking about intimacy in relationships.
Okay.
Now, no, sometimes when people think of intimacy, their mind goes right to sex.
Nope.
Right? I mean, a lot of people do. They think intimacy is about sex. So I'm going to ask Justice, to you, for you, what does intimacy mean?
It's definitely not sex, because you can have sex with someone that it's the heat of the moment. It's all these other moments outside of being intimate. Intimate is an intimate understanding of one another.
Right.
It's that intimate relationship, that inner, knowing somebody's inner workings, what's really going on with them, things they've been through, being able to be clear about what you're going through and what they, your relationship together is all those other things. Sex can be, a drunk night at the club. That's not intimacy.
That's
not intimacy.
Right.
Y'all feeling the feeling, you're vibing, and great. But if you can't sit down and tell somebody your deepest, darkest secret, then you're not intimate. They don't know you for real.
They don't.
Intimacy is that person knowing you, how you think, how you your logic, how you process shit. That's where the intimacy is for me.
Right. Yep. Yes. Karen, what is intimacy to you? Because you know what? Men and women, they have a different thought process when it comes to intimacy in some cases.
Right. So to me, it's everything that Justice, said. It's more emotional to me. I wholeheartedly agree, and I'm happy to hear the male version to say that it's not sex, because you can have sex with someone and it not feel intimate, you not be intimate with them at all, and you can be so intimate with a person that a look can, set you on fire, right? A touch and set you on fire or whatever. So for me, it's the closeness. It's how we connect, how we vibe and get together. The sex part can be intimate, but it doesn't have to be. But once you connect with someone on an emotional level, that's it. That's the intimacy right there.
Absolutely. And also, to add to what you both are saying, because I agree with everything that you're saying, I believe that intimacy is knowing and liking yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? Because if you can't be intimate with yourself, how can you be intimate with anyone else?
Right.
And I think that sometimes people don't spend enough time with themselves to be intimate with themselves. And then that's why you have these disconnected relationships emotionally, because they're not happy with themselves.
You don't know yourself.
You don't know
So
yourself.
you can't even properly present yourself to another person.
Right.
To even get intimate, because you don't know yourself.
You don't know yourself.
You have to know yourself to be able to allow someone else to know you.
Right. And being emotionally intimate with yourself. That's a big deal. Because you know how many disconnected people are out here?
Yeah. And the therapist is making a buku bucks.
What? Sitting there trying to help you find your emotions.
And some of them are out there not getting the help and wreaking havoc and carrying all that baggage around, unknown baggage on other people.
Yes, absolutely. And you know, my dad wasn't a very emotionally disconnected man. and that translated down to me. And in my choices in men. You know, and I didn't recognize that until maybe early 40s. And that's real talk. And it was the thing, you know, I was having a conversation with one of my girlfriends, and we were just talking, and I started talking about my dad, and I was like, yeah, my dad was this way, and my dad was that way, and blah, 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 blah. And then the light bulb was off, and I said, oh shit, I've been dating my dad. I've been dating my dad for years, because, you know, you get to that point in your life where you start saying, why do you keep choosing the same type of men?
It's amazing how you don't realize, and maybe some people do, but how your relationship with your parents influence the type of man or woman that you pick. You know, be it that you are dating your parent, or if you're doing like complete opposite of it.
Yes,
amazing how that affects it. You know, straight up.
It absolutely does affect you. But here's the thing, I think that it can affect you, but then at some point you have to recognize that that's what it is.
Oh, absolutely.
Because then if you don't, you'll be just living in dysfunction. You'll be living in dysfunction for the rest of your damn life if you don't get the shit together.
Yep. At some point you got to take responsibility. What happened to you growing up, the experiences that you had, and you know, all of that plays a part into your own intimacy, how you react to another person, the mate that you pick, and it's valid, right? But after a certain point, when you become an adult, you have to take responsibility for that. You have to fix that. You cannot use the crutch of this is what happened to me as a child, or this is why I'm like it. Well, like that. Well, you got to fix it.
Got to do something to fix it. And sometimes we have children, and those things are not fixed. So now I can say, put that on myself, is that I didn't really start to learn and do a lot of the self-work until my kids were a lot older. So it's like my kids were growing up with me and in all my damn dysfunction, because I didn't know what the hell was wrong with me. Young mother, raising 3 children by myself, you know, so I dealt with a lot of anger issues, and you know, I transferred a lot of that to my children. So now that, you know, they're older and I'm recognizing a lot of it, and I've done a lot of self-work, I'm able to mend those relationships, because I'm now having these conversations with them now, saying, you know what, I'm sorry, I was fucked up. You know what I'm saying? So
and that's big for you to apologize to them for it. That's huge.
And recognizing that, you know, I might have contributed to some of their shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, I see my son, my oldest, he's a bit emotionally disconnected when it comes to things. Very sensitive, but emotionally disconnected. And me and him had those conversations too, about that. So it's like I'm healing and I'm trying to help heal my kids too. Because I know there's some brokenness on their part.
Wow. That's major. That's huge. And that's very mature, because you find a lot of times we don't take responsibility for the damage that we've done. And then, you can fix yourself, but not only are you trying to work on yourself, you're also, working on fixing the damage. It's a 2-part process. And a lot of people will fix themselves, but don't take that second step, that next step
because you're fixing yourself, but the kids are still broken.
Right. Yep. Cool.
So that's a big deal. Big. So another question, guys, for you, since we on the well, we kind of touched on this a bit, but can there be intimacy without sex? So I think we kind of touched on that already, and I think we all kind of agreed that it can be.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
but what does that look like to you though?
As far as being in a relationship with somebody and not having sex?
I mean, I'm not saying you're not having sex at all, but within the relationship, can you have intimacy without sex? So what does that look like for you in the relationship?
I think it looks like me really connecting with the person on, again, it's that emotional level. Because in that instance, sex just becomes an activity, right? Yes, it's important. Don't let me say, don't make me sound like I'm saying it's not important.
Right,
but
right.
It's an activity, right? It's just like you going to play, play tennis or whatever. You know what I mean? It's an activity, but it takes on a whole new meaning when you are emotionally connected to the person, i.e., very intimate with that person. Then it becomes the icing on the cake, right? Because now it's a whole new meaning and it feels differently.
Right. Yeah, it does. It really does, because I'm quite sure. Go ahead, Justice. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to add on and say, it's a comfort level. It's a level of comfort where you're comfortable with this person seeing all of you. So it's not about the sex. Sex is just like the date. Yeah, you want to continue to date throughout a relationship. You want to continue to go out, go to dinner, and all these activities. Like I said, it's an activity. But when something is really bothering you, this is the first person that comes to your mind and say, you know what, I gotta deal with her about this situation. And it's that comfort level where you can tell this person everything that's going on. They're gonna ingest everything that you tell them, and they're gonna give you an honest feedback that you can trust. So I trust you, and I trust what you give back to me, and that's the intimacy.
And that's the intimacy. Yes.
People can be in a relationship all day and can't talk about certain subjects. I was in a relationship one time with a woman, and we could not talk about baby daddy, baby mama type of issues because she was going through this. She went through this whole war with an ex-husband and a baby daddy, and I hadn't been through no war. I have a child by a woman. I had never even referred to her as a baby mama, and we don't have no issues. What we talk about is strictly about the child. That was my homie. That was my good friend. On an intimate level, I trust her on that level. That's how she ended up like that. But she didn't want. She said, "You don't go. You never had to deal with none of this shit. I didn't have to deal with none of this because I'm not on no bullshit though. That's why. You know what I'm saying? She trusts that I trust that she's not gonna come to me for something that she don't absolutely need, and she trusts that I know when she comes to me and say I need this, I'm gonna give it to her because I trust that she's coming to me because she really fucking needs it, and not because she wants it, not because it's a fleeting thought. There's some shit I need, and that's the relationship we have, and that's intimacy to me. Having that trust that a motherfucker's not gonna ask you for something they don't need, and when they come to you, it's real. Me, I'm a Cancer. I keep all my shit in, put shit in paper.
Oh, yes, y'all do, child. Yes, you do.
I may never say that. But when I start talking, I'm gonna be bringing up shit. I could be bringing up shit from 7 years ago. But if it was you that did it, you might as well did it yesterday. That's how it cancels out.
My
It's
son,
still fresh for me.
My oldest.
You know what?
Yeah.
A thought just came to me, and I think in answer to the question, it demonstrates how I felt. And this was at a younger age. I was having a discussion with an older person, right? Probably about 20 years older than I was at the time. And their mate, they found out that their mate was cheating, and I'm using air quotes with cheating. But then found out that they had never had sex with the person, right? But she had hours and hours of conversations that they had on the cell phone together, like hours, right? So at that point in time, I realized to me that, you know what? I'd rather him have sex with her, because you can have it and then it's over. You are on the phone talking with this person for hours and hours. You are sharing stuff with this person that you don't share with me, right? Because I don't sit down and have hours long conversations with you. So this person, you have connected with this person on a whole nother level. You could have had sex with them and don't even know their last name. But you cannot sit there and have a conversation with someone for hours and hours and hours on end, day in, day out, and not connect with them. I think at that moment is when I realized that for me, the cheating was the conversations, not the sex, because you can have the sex and be done.
And that is very true. And that's next week's show, infidelity. No, but you're right. But you're right though, because what is cheating? You know what I mean? Is it the act of being sexual with this person, or is it the emotional connection?
Yeah, I much rather you have the act.
I think it's emotional. It's emotional, because once you connect emotionally with another person other than your partner, that's a problem.
A big one. Once somebody else knows something about you that I don't know, right? That's a problem, because something about that person you connected with on a level that you felt comfortable enough and vulnerable enough to give them this information. You were intimate enough with them that you shared this information that you're not sharing with me. And I'm supposed to be your mate. I'm supposed to be that for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a big deal as far as, and that's the intimacy. People don't really recognize that intimacy is, I feel like, 95% of the relationship. And sex is 5%.
Yeah.
Like,
because it's an act. It's just an act.
It is an act.
You can go
and
in
you are
and
truly
relieve yourself as well as the other person can relieve you, right? It's an act. It takes on a special meaning when you have a connection with the person.
Exactly. A bigger meaning, because I can, and you know what, I think somebody can, because that's usually what happens with people when they step outside. They start a relationship with the person, as opposed to it just being sexual.
Right.
And I think someone can forgive that more than they can forgive the relationship part of it. Like, you will actually spend time with this person, connecting emotionally with them. So it's not about the sex.
Right. And this older person, right, once she found out that happened, and they had been together and living together for years, right? And she said, okay, well, it's over. Then, you can leave. He packed his stuff and he left. That to me indicated that he had an emotional connection. He was intimate with that person, because if not, he would have fought for the intimacy.
Right. Absolutely. So that leads to the next question. Can a relationship survive without intimacy?
Nope.
No.
I'd like to quantify my answer though.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Because I feel like there are different reasons for relationships, right? So it depends on what the reason or what the goal was for each person in getting involved in that relationship, because you've got people out here that are, you know, marriages of convenience for business, you know, situations or whatever. So it really depends on what the agreement was for that relationship in the first place. So if you are supposedly together for love, then no, that relationship cannot survive without intimacy.
Agreed. I mean, it can survive. I mean, it can survive on what you choose that or what you make that relationship to be, but that's not a healthy, usually not a healthy space to be in.
No. No.
That void, it's a void there, and you're gonna feel that void. And even if there's not more intimacy, it's more distraction that you're gonna feel that void. So I'm not intimate with my significant other, and although this other person, I'm not being, you know, there's no intimacy there. It's still something filling that void to keep the desire for intimacy at bay. But eventually, everybody wants that person that they can really sit down with and say some shit to that can be accepted as at face value. This is what the fuck I'm going through. This is what I feel like. It could be some regular shit. It's just today. This is how I'm feeling. You want that person that can take that shit on, you know, take it in and give you something.
Absolutely.
Something. There's no wrong to it, but give you something. You sit down and talk to a person, that shit just falling on deaf ears, you're dead. You know what I'm saying?
Or they think that, or they think that sex is going to ease that shit up or make it better. I've been in that type of relationship where they think that the sex was oh God, I'm gonna have sex with her and she's gonna get over whatever it is her problem is. No, motherfucker, I don't want that.
Let's pacify it.
I don't want that. Or sex is gonna be the thing that's gonna, if you're mad at me, we're gonna have sex and you ain't gonna be mad no more.
Yeah, no.
How about let's have a fucking conversation?
Right.
And get through whatever the issue is so that we can stop repeating the same toxic ass shit. Nope. I'm gonna lay this damn dangling down on your ass and you're gonna be over whatever it is that you was mad about.
It's not the medicine. It's not the medicine you think it is.
It ain't that. But then that's when you're dealing with, you know, both of you are just not in a healthy space mentally, if that's what you're accepting. So a healthy relationship cannot survive without intimacy.
I agree.
You can go through the motions and you could be together and you could just be existing in a space. And I don't want to just exist in a space with the man, because that is not something that is fun. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, that's I can do that on my own.
Right.
Know?
So where do we learn how to be intimate? Because I know that growing up, you know, it does matter what you experience in your home. That will teach you
life,
right? Because when did you realize or figure out that intimacy was necessary?
I think I kind of grew up with it because
see, you grew up in the household with both your parents.
Yes.
Right. So you saw it.
And I'm emotional, so I need that intimacy, even if it's not with my mate. Like I'm a hugger, you know. My girls, I gotta hug you. So I am a very person.
Right. Me too. Justice, you were gonna say something?
Yes, it's a lot different for me. I did not. I guess for me, the intimacy was always a desire, and it's something that I never had. I didn't have it with my mom. I didn't have it with my brother. You know, they were team. They were on their team, and me and my dad were on the team. However, I lived with my mom, and my dad, he lived the street over. When my mom left him, she moved a street over. Their backyards faced one another. It's not that they was enemies; they didn't hate each other. They just couldn't fucking live together.
Right.
But
Right.
my dad was still an active parent. He was still in my life. He didn't really mess with my brother like that because my brother was spoiled and on some other shit that I identified with, and my mom kind of countered him about it. So
Mm-hmm.
a lot of that has a lot to do with me and my desire for intimacy because I couldn't talk to my mom. I couldn't talk to my brother. Every only person I talked to was my notebook, my grandmas, my aunties. Like I had no one to talk to. And so for me, I've always wanted that. I've always wanted to have that person that I know I can tell everything to and they can listen without judgment and have something to offer me back. You know, so I have two good female best friends, and
Mm-hmm.
that's where I learned intimacy. Where I know right now, I can text, if I text Quan right now, she can call me back. Why are you texting me at 11 o'clock? You know, what the hell's going on? It's that automatic concern that, yo, something going on. You sending me a text this time of the night, something's up. What's good?
Right.
You know, and you can be in a whole relationship with somebody that's not that in tune or not that visible in your situation. You can send that text, it's like, "Yo, I needed you last night. Where were you at?" You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's a lack of intimacy. Even though
It
you're in
is.
a relationship, that's a lack of intimacy.
It is.
Yeah.
So
Especially if that's what you're craving, you have to cry out for that. And I think for me, what I was getting misconstrued was my need for attention. I
mm,
was getting that mixed up with intimacy.
mhm,
You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
I need attention. Okay, I'm not getting attention from my dad. So whatever man comes to my life, I need all your attention. I need you to answer me when I call. If you're not answering me when I'm calling, what the hell's wrong with you? Then that turned into toxicity. You know what I'm saying? And thinking that that's intimacy, and it's not.
Right.
So you kind of got to know. So for me, I didn't really learn what intimacy really was until I was up in age. Because
So did you know at the time, like, did you, and this is for you and Justice, and I'm sorry if I cut you off. I don't
no, it's
know if you
fine.
were,
Mm-hmm.
did you realize at the time that you were learning what intimacy was? Did you realize that that's what you was learning?
No, no, I didn't. I didn't realize that that's what I was learning until I actually knew what it was.
Okay.
And then it was like, oh, okay, so this is what I've been missing.
Yeah.
I've been wanting this all the time, all this time, but I didn't know what I really wanted.
And because it felt good, you
It felt
realized
good,
yeah.
exactly, because it felt good in that moment. It was like, okay, this is what I need right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Mm-hmm.
when it's gone, it's like it it took
Something's
something
missing.
away from me.
Mm-hmm.
So now I need the next rush. I
Got
gotta
it.
seek that next rush.
Got it. Because I'm constantly refining, right, for myself what intimacy is, and doing that next level. So, and it's not a conscious thing. It's just like you said, when you feel it and you know it and it feels good, you recognize it.
You recognize it. Yeah, and how about, because for me, I like to have a conversation. I like to communicate. I like to talk. That's a big deal for me. And if I meet a man and he does not know how to have a conversation, I'm at the stage in my life right now where they ask the question because we're up in age, why are you single? They automatically think
Mm-hmm.
something's wrong with your ass because you single at
Oh
50 plus years
man.
old. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's like for me, I always say if I have to answer the question is I spent a lot of times, I spent too much time in the wrong relationships because I didn't really know what the hell I wanted or needed from
Mm-hmm.
those things. So I spent so much time with the wrong people.
Right.
So now that I'm aware and I know what it is that I really, really want, it just took me a long time to get there. So now this is why I'm single. Not because, oh, something wrong with me or I'm crazy. Because they go to that too. Goes, you must be fucking crazy or some shit like that. It got to be something wrong with you if you're single after a certain age.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell is that? That's stupid as shit. Now, don't get me wrong. There's some motherfuckers that need to be single because they crazy as fuck. So yeah,
right.
I get it.
But for people to automatically assume that, and think about, for me, you get that, but think about with me. What? You ain't got no kids? You
Yeah.
single and no kids? What's wrong with you?
Something really wrong with you. What? Something's really wrong with you. But but then that's sad though. That's really sad.
Mm-hmm.
That's what people automatically go to. So Justice, as a man, do you get that?
So men don't really pressure other men about family and kids, and we don't pressure one another about that clock internally. We know if we want another child and everything like that. But women tend to put that type of pressure on one another. But if you ain't had no kid, you ain't married yet. We don't do that. Men don't do that. I don't know why we don't do it, but we don't do that to one another. That pressure comes from older women in your family and your peers that kind of make you feel you're deficient in some way because you haven't done this or haven't done that. But older men and your OGs and the people that guide you as a man, as a young man, you don't put that pressure on each other.
Well, that's good to know. But I have to say that if I met a man that's my age and he's never been married and he doesn't have kids, I do want to know why.
It's a red flag. I want
to know why.
Take it as a red flag.
I want to know why.
For a woman, and you have kids as a man, and you meet a woman, and she's late 30s, early 40s, you should be cautious because it's going to be a hell of a leap for her to understand what you have to do as an active father, because she really can't appreciate the things that you do as an active father. She wants an active man in her life, and being an active father oftentimes affects a man being an active lover in your life.
It's true.
It's a huge leap for in the relationship, in the relationship stages, you're dealing with someone.
It is, because it is a different thought process when you don't have children and you do, and you're dating someone that has children.
Yeah.
I think Karen might be able to speak to this.
I was sitting here waiting, like I had my hand up. Like, pick me, boss, pick me. So
drop it on us.
Right.
So before I do that, Justice, if you met me, right, and I told you, hey, I'm 50, 52, how am I? 52, 53, whatever. And I have no kids.
You know how old you are, damn it.
I don't. I really don't keep track of that. I got to really think about it before I think I'm 53. But anyway.
Like 50 something.
Yeah, I'm 50 plus.
50,
and I say to you, no kids and never been married. Is that a red flag for you?
It's a red flag.
Wow. So
especially because I have a 3-month, so that's an incredible leap for you. It's an incredible leap for me because I'm starting over after 14 years.
Right.
My older, you know what I'm saying? So it's a big change for me. It's a huge change.
Right.
You're asking of a woman never had kids, 50.
And I think so for me, as a woman with children, I probably think the same way for a man that's never had children. But I don't know how I would feel if I didn't have kids.
And see, so for me, I don't red flag it for men because I hate for it to be a red flag. For me. And I've dated men that have had kids, and even when I was much younger, the guy had kids. So I'm experienced with being with someone that has kids and the time it takes. So I'm like the opposite, because I'm thinking if you've got kids and you're not present, you're not doing things for
That's the
those kids,
problem.
that's a problem for me. Like I'm not, and I think that that's the maturity part of it, right? And I was even that way when I was in my, I would think I was 30 when the first time I dated a guy that had, and young kids too. He was the youngest was like 2, not even 2, but it was a problem for me for him not to be there present. And as I got more mature, I look for that, right? I know at this point, no, I'm not going to have any children. But if you don't have a good relationship with your children, the people that you put on this earth, and you're not present and you're not responsible, I'm looking at you, cross-eyed, like sideways. Why? What is the problem here? And I want you to have a healthy relationship with your baby mamas.
Right.
Right? I want you, because the two of you need to put aside the differences that you have with yourselves and do what's best for the kid. And I
Right.
do realize, and that's a lot of the reason why I'm like, if you've got really young kids, like Justice, if I met you, I'd be like, come holler at me when that 3-month-old is a lot older, right?
Yeah, for me
Right,
too,
right, right.
though. For me
Yeah,
too, because my kids are all grown, so I
right,
could do what I want to do.
right.
For me, a man with younger children, he got to have the kids on the weekend or whatever the case may
Yeah,
be. If you,
because I
especially if you're
know I'm
not,
coming
well, if you're
second.
not with the person, I guess I wouldn't be talking to you. But
Right.
yeah.
Because
So
I
it
know
is,
I'm going to come second. I don't want to be, but I'm mature enough to know that I'm not first in his life. There's no way I can be first in his life. There's no way. And
and then that's
I
where you
know
have to decide this is not somebody I could date, because some women will get into relationships with that man and compete with the damn kids.
right. And
Mhm.
that's
Yeah.
immature.
And
Well, yeah.
that ain't gonna work.
Yeah.
That's just
Well,
not
but it blocks the intimacy for her because she's never had to have that extra part in the formula.
mm,
So I realized I couldn't hold that against her because I was in that
right,
situation, and with kids, man, things change, plans change. I'm the emergency contact.
right.
So something is wrong. I gotta go get her, and
You
oh,
gotta
she's
go.
with me. It's Friday. My Friday plans have to change, and I have to do it next. And I'm not the custodial parent, so my plans can change for this Friday, and next week I'll get it in. But for
Right,
right now, I gotta change this Friday date or whatever we had planned, and do it on Thursday, do it on Sunday, do it next weekend. Because I can make those decisions. What I can't do is not be there when my number is called. Daddy,
Mhm.
you're up. Go get
exactly.
her.
You got to do
You
what you
know what
got
I'm
to do. And
saying?
if a woman is really trying to come into your life and take that on, she's gonna have to she's gonna have to know that, hey, you come second.
Yeah.
So understand that this is your place.
Well, and that's the way you worded that. That's problematic. It's not
It
that you
is.
come
Oh
second,
yes,
but
to some.
I have other things I have to do, and you got to respect that, and you have to be in a position where you can respect that out of me as a man that's saying, I have a daughter, and when it comes down to the things I have to do, I'm going to do everything that I can do. And the best way that I can get it done, that's how I'm gonna do it. And it doesn't mean that you're second. It just means if I have to do this thing first before doing what we do or what we have planned, and that's what it has to be. Because that's the best thing for me to do as the father, as the man in this situation. But case in point, I was with a woman, and she set up this she set up this um, vacation she wanted to do and go to a water park, and
Hmm.
and she was good friends with my frat brother and whatever. They grew up together actually, but I met them separately. I met her after I met him. I didn't know they knew each other, but anyway, long story short, she sets up this whole thing like, let's go out, have some fun, have a wild weekend, go to this water park. Man, I'm not going to the water park and not taking my 6-year-old daughter.
Wait, she didn't
And
want you to
that
take
was
your. Wait, she didn't want you to
she
take your baby.
she listen, she said no kids allowed. And she was the only one that didn't have a kid. Because my boy, he had two children at that time. I'm goddaddy to both of these kids. And the girl he was dating at that time had a son too. So she was the only one that wasn't a parent in that situation. And she tried to, get us to go to this water park and have a parent night, I guess, adult night.
Right.
And we all was like, nah, motherfucker, like, we're not going to no wave
water park.
What we look like in a wave pool, leaving
without the kids.
At home. Yeah. And she didn't understand. And so I was like, I can't fault her for it because she's not thinking like a parent. She's not. And, it's not for everybody. And it just wasn't for her in that sense. And that's not for every woman that doesn't have a child. But I'm just saying, at that point, I knew that situation, this situation, was a little more than what she could have.
And that's I think that's where you become mature enough to recognize that, okay, this might not be for me. And as a woman coming into that situation, you want it, and the guy could be a great guy. You're like, this is a good guy. I love the way that he loves his children, and he's just so dope. He could be great for me, but he can't give me the time that I need. So you have to really sit down and have an intimate conversation with yourself. And decide if this is what you really want to do. Because sometimes you would just go ahead and just try to rock out anyway, and then you're unhappy.
Where's the hand raise button?
There is none. But go ahead, girl. Just jump on in.
Because I don't see anything wrong with that. This was a grown-up date. So if it was a date, if it was a thing where an outing where bring the kids and we're out and the kids, because of the venue, you guys felt like I need to bring your kids. You could have still gone another time with the kids. So it was a date, right? And so I don't necessarily see anything wrong with her saying, "Hey, let's go here," and we're not bringing the kids. And probably it came from a space of her not having the kids, but it's a date like anything else. Would you have brought your kids with you if you went, on a dinner date with her? And, you're not going to Chuck E. Cheese, let's say. So she was trying to create a date. Let's do something, kid-like fun and just us. I don't necessarily see anything wrong with that. Now, if she's constantly doing that and never wants to, do stuff and spend time with the kids or stuff like that, that's a different situation. But I don't think that I would get that from that one instance of her trying to do a date, and it's the adult thing.
Right.
I don't know her. I don't know the situation, but I think, and I want to go back a little bit. When you say that, oh no, you're really not second, that doesn't mean I'm not putting you first. It absolutely means that. And you don't need to sugarcoat it, because any woman that's dating a man with young kids, that's not adult and can take care of what they have, you are absolutely not first, because you can be on something that is very, very important that we're doing together. And if you get that call that your child, is sick or your child needs you, the minute you make the decision to go in what you're doing with her and go with your child, right? That child is first. And it is an adult thing to recognize that. So, you don't need to soften and say, no, because you think it might hurt the woman's feelings by saying you don't come first. But she should recognize she doesn't come first. And I lived that. The guy I was dating, we're out, we're doing something, and he got a call that his son fell down at the park or whatever, and they were taking him to the hospital to get stitches, right? Now, the mother is there with them, but, he looked at me and I'm like, let's go. He felt bad, right? He felt bad at that moment to say, look, I got to end this because I really want to go and see what's going on with my child.
Right.
I'm not putting you in that situation. At that point, I'm invested with the kid too, right? I'm like, come on, let's go. Hurry up. Come on.
Right.
We both went to the hospital. We both met the mother at the hospital with the kid. So yeah, I'm taking a step back because it's not my kid. It's not my kid, but I do care. And we were together. So it wasn't convenient for him to drop me off at home and then go. The quickest route was I gotta go in tow. And I was okay with it because I want to know what's going on too, right? But you gotta be adult. You have to be mature to be in that type of relationship, and you have to know.
And that's very true. But I also want to say, I want to add to that, because the whole first and second thing, that can get a little, iffy, because and I see what you're saying, Karen, that you are absolutely first, but I also see where there are situations where he's not even letting her be a part of the children's lives.
Now that's a problem. Yep.
Now that to me is second.
Right.
That's
in my
second.
opinion. That's second.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Something's going on with my daughter. You're going home. I'm going to do what I need.
Right. I don't even want you around my kids.
I need you to come with me. I gotta go see what's going on with my child. I'm
You're
putting
not
you in there. I'm making you a part of what's going on.
Right.
So you're now being a part of my life and my children's life.
Right.
So to me, it's not really a secondary thing, because the second would be like, all right, you go home. I'll call you later after I go to the hospital and figure out what's going on with my kid.
Right.
And you're never allowed to be a part of that his life in that way.
Correct.
So it can be looked at, it depends on how you're looking at it, because you can meet a guy that has kids and he'll never let you meet his kids.
Then you know that you're not, air quotes, intimate with that person, because you got to be a part of the life. And it takes maturity on both sides.
Absolutely.
A level of maturity.
And that is very true.
But the thing is, and it's something about when you have kids. It's like when you're adulting, you really want to adult.
Yes.
And when you think about adulting, you don't think about a theme park or a water park that your kid would enjoy. You're thinking about, you know what? We could get some space going in this shit.
Right.
Get some bottles, and we're gonna really fucking be an adult tonight. Get drunk, do whatever the fuck we do. But you don't do kid friendly shit on adult night. On adulting night,
I'm with you on that one, Justice. I'm with you on that because we do that shit with our kids. So it's like,
with our kids.
Right. So why do I want to go to a water park with my date?
I can't go do some shit with a woman that I know my child would enjoy doing with me.
And it's a guilt thing.
It's guilt.
It's a guilt.
It's
guilt.
It's
guilt there.
It hits you through your core. And so, I can't fault her for that, but it's, after, 2 or 3 things, like you're just not mentally ready to handle this. So to where you can separate, when you thinking we're going to have we have an adult night. Oh, I don't have my daughter this weekend. She's not coming this weekend. It's time to think of some adult shit that we're going to do.
Yes.
On my off weekend. I'm not going to do something that, we go to a water park and then the next week I'm going to go to the water park again when she's with me. Like,
or you fuck around and slip up.
With you saying that the person is not mature for that. You guys just weren't compatible, because she may like to do the kid stuff, the what quote unquote kid stuff. Like, I like to do a whole bunch of different stuff. So just because we're together and I want to do this and we're doing this as adults, that doesn't mean that she's not mature, because you feel like, I don't want to do that with you. I'm going to do only, nice restaurants and adult stuff with you. Sometimes I'm a big kid. Sometimes I want to do kid stuff. So I hear what you're saying.
I totally get that.
Like you calling saying that she's not mature or she's not ready for that. You guys are just into different stuff.
No, I don't think that at all. I just don't think she understood the difference in adulting or having an adult weekend and having the type of weekend that she was trying to have. That's something that we could have done, or we should have done with the kids. And we can do the adulting where we really adulting. We might do a bar stroll or some shit. We do some adult shit, but a theme, a wave pool and a theme park like that, to me, it's just not. It's really not adult.
And I totally get what Karen's saying, because she doesn't have the kids to go to the water park. So maybe she just wants to be a big kid at heart, and I want to go and jump around in the damn wave pool with my man or with my dude, the person that I'm dating, and just want to enjoy that. So that's where those intimate conversations have to come into place, and we have to decide if this person is the person I'm really going to date.
Yeah, because you're in different spots.
Yeah, we're different. We're different.
I'm gonna do that with my kids, so I don't want to do that with you. But for her, I'm not doing it with kids, and I just think it's fun. Let's do it. So it's
a conflict. That's a conflict.
Right.
That's a conflict of interest.
My thing is, I totally get what you're saying, Justice. I just don't like the title of saying, you know, if you're going to do an adult thing, then this is what you should do, because you're judging her with the what she likes to do is fun versus you don't think it's fun because it's work for you because you're taking your kids. So if you don't have your kids, that's not something you want to do. But it's just a matter of, you know, what I like to do versus not.
So that's where you recognize that y'all ain't compatible. Point blank.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because that's his thought process.
Right. And
it doesn't make it wrong though. It doesn't make it wrong.
It's not. I never said it was wrong.
Yeah, it doesn't make it wrong.
I'm trying to take the stigma of Justice saying that it's wrong off of how she's feeling.
No, I don't think it was wrong. I think it's a preference for me. You know, it's like it's 4 people going to this water park. 3 of the 4 people have kids or a child. And we all had the same thing. Like, we're not going to no fucking water park without our children.
Without kids, right?
So, you know, I was gonna go, but it's like, you know, if we're having an adult night, that's not a part of it. We do that. We really go out. We go to a different state, and that matters. You know, we talking about driving 30 minutes to a park in Indiana versus us going to Vegas or somewhere, or going to another state and experiencing a water park. You know what I'm saying? When you're adults, like taking a flight to go do some water park shit is different than driving up the road 30 minutes to go do some shit. It's like, why not bring the kids? What are we about to do in this wave pool? You know, what are we about to do here that we couldn't do with the kids present? And that's something dope that the kids will really enjoy too. So it's like, you know, there's nothing wrong with that trip, but we're going 30 minutes of the way. Let's go to Orlando or go to some shit that's obscure and out of the way and that's adulting. That's some shit you take a flight to go do some shit. There's no question. You're not taking your child flying the motherfucking Wilmington or some bullshit to go do something because there's a water park down there.
Unless you on a family vacation or something like that.
You know, so, you know, adulting is just different when you have kids. You just look at it differently.
You do.
That's the key. Adulting is different when you're a parent than when you're not a parent.
Absolutely. And that's why it's like it's hard for me. It's always been hard for me to date a guy that don't have kids.
Me too. And
it's always been hard for me.
That's why
I always feel like there is, and not in a negative way. So I'm going to say that before I say what I'm going to say. Or I'm going to try to find a different way to say it. Because I don't want to say.
A lot of explanation is needed.
A lot of explanation, and they are usually a little more self-centered. Because the only person that they really have to care about is themselves.
Yeah.
And it's okay. It's okay for them to be that way because they don't have to worry about other people. All they gotta do, I mean, other than your family or whatever the case may be. But you know what I'm saying? As far as, and I don't want it to mean self-centered in a negative way. So I was trying to find a different word, but I couldn't find one. But they're kind of more about themselves than they are about, you know, other shit. Whereas for me as a mother, I couldn't just be about me. It always had to be about, okay, I have to make sure the kids is good. I got to make sure this is all right. I got to make sure I do this. And it's a constant thing. Even when I'm out, I'm thinking about the kids.
Right.
Yeah. Whatever. When I'm spending money, I'm thinking about the kids.
It's hard to turn it off.
You can't just turning it off.
Yep.
There's no
and I
turning
don't
it
have
off.
those things. I mean, I take my, my nephew, Michele, you know how I am with my nephew
Yes,
and
absolutely.
everything. So, and now I have a niece too, but the fact of the matter is that, well, my nephew was a lot of my first thought a lot of times because I had him so much.
Yes.
And I'm going to protect him. Like, I'm going to lay down. If I need to lay down my life to make sure he's good, I'm going to do that. But, no matter what, he's not my kid. He's my nephew. Right. So it's never going to be my first thought when I don't want to be that responsible,
you don't have to be.
You don't have to.
I don't have to.
You could turn it right off.
It's never going to be the same.
Mm-hmm.
So I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah.
If I'm going, I don't have to decide whether or not, damn, he needs shoes and I want to go and have a $200,
right.
splurge. I don't have to make those decisions.
Right. So yeah, that was, and I've tried dating guys without children, and it just never worked because I usually get turned off in some way, like this motherfucker.
It's hard. I mean, I understand because I was there before I had a child. If you had a child, I'm like, I'm not trying to be that, and I don't think that that's right, but that's my right to be like, I ain't gotta go through that shit and deal with your baby daddy problems and shit. You want me to have beef with a nigga I don't know, mad about the amount of money he give you. You want me fight a nigga and all that? I ain't trying to deal with all that shit
because it comes with a lot. It
comes with some baggage, and then I understand it. So, I just came to the conclusion that it's a lot that you're asking of someone, and I don't mind trying it and seeing if you can handle it, but my experience is like, what? No more than 3 kids.
It hasn't been.
Yeah.
So, Justice, I do have a question for you, though. As far as meeting a woman who doesn't have children, do you think it affects her level of intimacy?
I don't think that, because it's some women don't have kids, but they really have wanted to have kids.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it hasn't happened, or the situation has never gotten to where they wanted it to be, or what they were looking for to have kids. So some women, and way more women than men, are ready to step into that stepmom, second mom role.
That's true.
And so, I don't write women off because of that, because I know that it's possible. Because they, and women are maternal by nature. Some have lost it because they just felt like, I don't want to have no kids. I don't want to be bothered by that shit.
Right.
That's not their forte. And so they're never going to understand it. But it's a nice compilation of women that are willing to step in and be second mom to whatever you want to name her. So
right,
the intimacy is there.
We're naturally nurturers, even if we have kids or not. It's still there. It's still in us.
Yeah, and y'all nurture grown ass men. You look at a nigga for his potential and not his actual ass, and that's how a lot of things come into play. Because when you look at birth and you talk about the whole process, from the moment that a woman knows she's pregnant, everything changes. Yes. It don't matter if if the baby's the size of a peanut or the size of a grapefruit. Her mentality changes, and that also happens when women think they can nurture some niggas that they shouldn't be nurturing. But you can't nurture everything, so it's a hard lesson that some have to learn. But I don't write women off because I know there's in a lot of women, it's a small section that it's just not for them, personality wise, and that's okay.
I agree with that. So that innate thing women have, whether we have children. Now, I've met some women that I've said they don't even need to have no damn kids.
They don't need to have kids.
Get them kids and somebody,
let alone a kid.
And they mad they got them kids.
Hey, whoa, boy, and we'll cuss a kid out. In a minute, And I always wonder what that's about when I have seen women or come across women who don't have that nurturing gene in their body. And it's just not a natural thing. Like that makes me wonder, like, where did that shit, or were you a man before? Because what the hell?
Trauma. It's some unresolved trauma there.
Right.
And the most preyed upon being on this planet is a young black girl. Like she's preyed upon. And a lot of times that trauma from early on childhood relationship with uncles, aunts, even granddaddies and daddies, a lot of times that gets in the way of them, maturing and growing up and having a regular relationship with men. And that's where that comes from. It's some trauma there. When she can turn that nature, can turn that nurture off.
Turn it off.
It's some trauma there that's saying you
that's deep seated. That's deep seated.
You have to turn it off. Yeah.
Because it's natural for us to just be nurturers. So if you don't have it, that is something that's
something
deep.
Happened.
Yeah, some serious trauma. Because I see women that are mothers and they have children, but they have no emotional connection to them. Have you guys ever seen that?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's the strangest thing.
There's no emotional connection to them at all.
Very odd.
But they're raising them, they're making sure they're feeding them, and they're doing all the things they need to do for them as a parent, but the emotional connection is not there. They're not nurturing at all.
My mom wasn't nurturing.
They don't hug their kids.
I never hugged my mom or my dad growing up. I was graduating from college the first time I remember hugging my dad.
Wow.
And for me, I didn't get a lot of I love yous from my dad. Like my dad didn't really do that. He didn't never, I didn't get a lot of hugs from my dad. Like when I would see my dad, it was I get a kiss and a hug, but it was never I love you when I leave, or I didn't get a lot of that from my father. I didn't get any of that from my father, to be true, and I don't, but then I always had to go and look at, I don't know what he went through growing up, but of course I don't recognize that shit as a kid, but I didn't understand that until I got older. Like there's some shit that he went through that he was that way.
Yeah.
So, and my mom, being that my mother suffered from depression, she was kind of more, she drank a lot. So my mother was overly emotional. That it was like, okay, that it wasn't healthy. You understand what I'm saying? It wasn't healthy because her emotions caused her to drink. And then when she drank, she became super emotional. But not in the best, even more so.
Heightened,
with the crying, and it was heightened exactly with the crying and the depression. So that was unhealthy as well.
Yeah.
So I mean, I can't say that I was I'm a nurturer. I hug my kids. I told my kids that I love them growing up, but I do recognize that I wasn't as huggy, as I know some others. But my kids didn't lack the emotional connection because I'm that person anyway.
And that for me, I didn't get a whole lot of that, but I'm the emotional person. So even like before my dad, would pass away or whatever, I want something, I'll go and hug him or sit on his, like, okay, what do you want this time, type of thing. So although I had that emotion in the household, but I think I don't know how or why I ended up that way, but super like affectionate and emotional. So I'm always gonna hug, and so I think I rubbed off on them. And so my dad, did a whole lot of hugging and wouldn't let go because that's how I was, right? And I'm still like that. I go home to my mom, I sleep in the bed with her. Yeah, there's a whole 2 bedrooms upstairs.
Yeah.
I'm not going up there. I'm sleeping right there underneath my mom.
Right. That's dope. But guys, we've been on this phone. We've been on this phone. Here we go. Like I'm talking to my homie. See how, look, I'm just comfortable. Like we were on this phone for over an hour. Yeah, it's been over an hour.
I didn't realize that.
but I'm loving the vibe that you guys are bringing to the show. I really, really am.
Me too.
So y'all gonna be on my show more than a little bit. We're gonna do this series. So next week, y'all know we're talking about infidelity. So tune in to that. And we're gonna wrap this show up. Guys, thank you for being here. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
It was great.
Yeah.
And we're gonna do it again next week. One more time. We're gonna close it out.
Have a great week. Have a good night.
Good night, people. Peace and love.
Peace, y'all.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.